This episode of Coach's Corner brought to you by The Groove Yard, More Than a Rock Store, Divine Hammer Computers, custom built fast computers, and Advanced Audio Microphone Summerland. On this episode of Coach's Corner, we talk about the weekend that was, 3 games in 2.5 days for the Vees, 2 wins, 4 to 6 points. Also talk about the return of Mike Rebry, the power play rolling along here in 2013. Big weekend ahead. Merritt and Trail as well, a 4-point night coming up on Friday at the SOEC. All that and more with head coach Fred Harbison, because Coach's Corner starts now.
From the Best Damn Sports Bar on Martin Street in Penticton, with our 4th season, this is Coach's Corner. It's the show that brings you insight to the on and off ice action of the 2012 RBC Cup National Champions, the Penticton Vees. Host Fraser Rogers is joined by Vees head coach and GM Fred Harbison with the Best Damn studio audience for the Best Damn Vees talk. Now, here's Coach Harbison and Fraser Rogers.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner from the Best Damn Sports Bar, episode 17, as we're winding down the month of February. It was a busy weekend last weekend for the Vees, 3 games in 2.5 days. Ended on a high note, obviously, a 7-1 win, another 7 spot at home ice in this month. 7-1 win over Cowichan on Sunday. No hangover, I guess, from Saturday. Great start, good middle, and a good finish by your team for the 2 points.
Yeah, after losing the previous night, we talked about... we're not an organization that's built on moral victories or anything. I thought that, unfortunately Saturday there was some things that went against us, and we talked about it just being a must-win. It was one of those games where we didn't, shield our players from putting pressure on them. We went right at them and said that today is a must-win. There's no, ifs, ands, or buts about it. We were playing a team that struggled to win games on the road. We were one of the best. Had one of the best home records in the league, and there was no reason for us to not go out there and put our best foot forward, and I thought we did that right from the start of the game.
So you challenged them, they obviously responded. Did you like the emotional level, though? I thought this team obviously talked about it, a must-win, and really had that attitude on the ice, especially in the first period. Yeah,
I thought that, physical-wise, I thought, it was one of our better weekends. I thought we really finished our checks all the way through the weekend, and Sunday's game, I think we were, 30-some plus hits, so it was, even it was our 3rd game in less than 3 days. I thought that the guys brought the energy right from the beginning of the game.
Wade Murphy had a good game, obviously. Maybe should have had a hat trick. Who knows? We'll never know. But he had 2 goals in that game. You like how he's playing Saturday night, one of the better players on the ice. Probably unlucky not to get a goal on Saturday against Merritt the way he worked. Obviously, Sunday rewarded for his hard work.
Well, I would say we do know it was a hat trick on Sunday. The video is the way you look at it, and the same thing happened on Saturday night where we had goals that went in that were missed once again, and it's cost us points. That's not the first time this has happened to us this year, and this time with 4-man system in Merritt and goal judges and everything else, and somehow goals that go in aren't being found. And but I thought Wade Murphy played extremely well on Saturday, and was a little snake bit, and I thought his game has come around a long ways over the last few weeks.
You look at special teams as well. Saturday night, unlucky, unfortunate goal against on the power play, but Sunday power play, obviously good, but things started with the shorthanded situation. Great give and go, Brad McClure and Wade Murphy. Penalty kill humming right along, but also the power play was 2 for 3 against the Cowichan Valley Capitals.
Yeah, our special teams were pretty good on the weekend. We haven't been giving up a lot, and like you said, the shorthand goal we gave up was from 180 some feet away, so it's not, it wasn't really something that our power play did wrong. Those type of things happen. Good bad goals happen at every level, and it was one of those ones. But I thought on Sunday's game our power play was clicking and gave us a great opportunity to win.
Last thing about Sunday, Brad McClure had a 4-game goalless streak snapped, obviously, with his 3-point performance, a goal and 2 assists. Wade Murphy as well. It's good to see these guys start feeling the offense heading into March and down the stretch.
Yeah, I thought Brad was pressing a little bit. He was playing extremely well, and me and him talked about this. I thought on Saturday's game, I think he might have thrown about 10 pucks towards the net. He missed the net a few times, and what happens is a goal scorer, sometimes you start pressing, you start putting the pressure to put the puck in just a spot that is big enough for the puck. And with a player with his type of shot, his he's got a real heavy shot that hitting the net creates a lot of different things. It can create a second shot opportunity. It can the goaltender can make a mistake on it, and I thought it was big for him. Just getting that goal on Sunday to get the monkey off his back.
That was win 34 for the Vees. You go back the night before Saturday. You don't want to talk about moral victories, you say, but pretty looked good 45-50 minutes from your hockey club. You take out maybe the first 8 to 10 minutes of the first period. It was a good response by your team going down after going down 2-0, coming out and almost coming back in time that hockey game.
Yeah, you know what? It's everybody wants to talk about the first 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes or whatever. And when you're playing a good team, they're going to have their moments, and then we're going to hopefully have ours. And then at the end of the night, you want to have more than them. And so they're at home with a lot of energy. They kind of pushed at us, and we needed to weather the storm. And unfortunately, we made a mistake on a face-off where they scored a goal, which has happened a couple times now in their building where we've given up face-off goals. And as far as we needed to keep it at that 1-0, and then maybe try to tie it up before the period was out. And instead, we gave up that unfortunate goal from the other end of the ice and kind of put us in a hole. But our guys didn't wilt. I thought we responded real well. The next 2 periods. I thought we were, had a little bit of the upper hand, and at least, really battled hard and created chances. And, who knows what would have happened if they would, the first goal there where Louis Nanny knocked it out of midair, and the video clearly shows it was mid-net, nowhere near the crossbar. And you score that goal there, maybe it gets you going in the right direction. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But our guys didn't quit. And right to the end of the game, I was real happy with our pushback, and tomorrow night's going to have to be like I said. There's no time for moral victories tomorrow night. We need to come out there and get 2 points.
And obviously, rewinding before that, Friday night kicked off well. Good weekend, close game on the score sheet. I thought probably the Vees carried the play for the most part against Salmon Arm on that 2-1 win. Defensively, though, very good. I know we talked about them. They outshot you. We talked about the pregame show, but really quality chance. I don't think it was even close.
Yeah, the scoring chances. I can't remember what they were off the top of my head right now, but that we keep. I think we outchanced them 2-1. Mm-hmm. So it was. We were real happy with that game. I thought our guys did a great job away from the puck, and there hasn't been a lot of games where we've given up over 2 in the last 15 games. So it's that game there. If you holding to 1 goal, and unfortunately the next night you give up 3 and then 1 again, and so it's. I thought that all aspects of the game we were pretty solid, and that's a team that we could be facing in the first round of the playoffs.
Overall, 4 or 6 points on a busy weekend. In general terms, you must be pretty happy with how the weekend played out, keeping that cushion as well atop of the interior division standings with Merritt.
Yeah, and that's what the Sunday game was so critical. Once you give up 2 points to Merritt, you have to come back and push that our first place lead, and even though they have games in hand, they still got to win them, which last night they didn't in their first game in hand. So it's a big battle tomorrow night. We got a 6-point lead. They've got 1 game in hand on us. Not a lot of games left. 6 games left starting tomorrow night, and in 3 weeks, and all of a sudden it'll be playoff time.
Final sprint to the regular season finish line. Vees and Centennial's 4-point weekend coming up as well. That is it for segment 1. When we come back, we'll continue on here. Talk about the Vees getting a full lineup for this weekend and more. This is Coach's Corner from the Best Damn Sports Bar.
Here's a look at the Vees' upcoming schedule. Remember, home or away. Follow all the action on Easy Rock AM 800 or online at www.myeasyrock.com. Why not join us next time as part of our studio audience at the Best Damn Sports Bar for another episode of Coach's Corner.
And welcome back to Coach's Corner, segment 2 here from the Best Damn Sports Bar. I don't know if I want to say this because it could be a jinx, but a full lineup, we'll say, almost for the Vees. I know Braden Park was still on the men, but we saw Mike Rebry come back on Sunday, got a point in the game. First of all, how do you thought he did with the 5-game absence? It's kind of tough to jump right back.
Yeah, you know what? I thought he did real well, and he's looked even better this week in practice. I mean, he's only played about half the games this year, and it's like you said, it seems like every time we get somebody else is out, and we really haven't had that game was kind of the first time, with the exception of the 16-year-old that was out, our full lineup. And it's funny when we were looking at it the other day, like Rebry's only played 1 game against Merritt all year long, It's kind of interesting. So, yeah, you know what? We like the lineup that's healthy right now. It'll be even better once, when we get Braden, healthy, and so that we have different competition in different areas. And like I said, tomorrow night, whoever gets the call will be ready to go.
I want to ask you about that. You've said that in both papers this week about having that healthy competition. Is that good this time of year, obviously, keeping guys on their toes and getting the best out of them, not just in games, but obviously day to day?
Yeah, if you can't handle the pressure of maybe, somebody, creeping up behind you in the lineup, then you're not going to handle the pressure of a 2-2 game in Game 7. And ultimately we want to, get to a national championship again, just like everybody else in the league. And so I think competition, a little pressure on your players is good, and if you can't handle it, then I guess you got to sit and move off to the side.
Redbury, another face-off specialist, a centerman obviously, naturally, and very good in the draw, his average throughout the year. Is that just perfect timing when you're playing a team like Merritt, also very good down the middle? It seems like every inch of ice is contested in this season series.
Well, I think whenever you talk about, when you look at championship type teams or, big time teams over the years, you always talk about, at least what we do is talk about building through the middle of the lineup. And you got a big, strong centerman there. You talk about the puck possession game. We were relying a lot on Solway when Redbury's is out for the face-off. So now you've got multiple different players that you can use in those situations, and he's another good penalty killer too.
You'd say 5 maybe. Sam Meller being
Yep.
a guy that can take draws.
Yeah, Sammy we use on one side of the ice a lot of times, and you've got Balson, DePork's doing great as well, and so yeah, I mean it's you can't have enough guys that can win faceoffs. The old saying is there's usually about 60 faceoffs per game in a 60-minute game, and so that's it's critical for puck possession.
Talking about centerman, it leads into my next segment. Talking about Jed Soloway since he's arrived with the team, how well he's fit in. I know it's tough to maybe pick one area. Is there something that surprises you that's really benefited this team in one area? Maybe is it face-offs or net front presence?
He just does a little bit of everything. I mean, he's just, he's a competitive kid. He's strong on the face-off dot, as you mentioned. He protects the puck extremely well. Mm-hmm. He's got the one area that probably surprised a little bit, his hand. he doesn't beat the puck up. He's got a real quick release on how many times have we seen him score goals off that quick snapshot where, it kind of catches the goaltender sleeping, and he plays 200 feet.
13 goals, 27 points in 19 games. Is the scoring touch surprise? He's not just mucking; he's getting goals. He's getting some nice shots, obviously.
Yeah, I think it goes like a lot of his goals. If you look back at a lot of them, it's just been getting the puck off quick. I mean, we try to teach players to the less time that puck's on your stick. I mean, a lot of good things can come from it, right? And so when he's on his A game, it's when he's moving the puck and jumping up in the play and getting to that those tough areas of the ice. And like I said, when he gets the puck inside the circles, he can score just like some of the best in the league.
Talking about power play as well, you have him in front of the net, obviously, on one of your top units. We've seen Brock Balson there. Is that something you're going to go for with a lot of it? See those two big guys in front of the net causing some issues with the goalies?
Yeah, and Redbury now, today when we had two different units going where the net presence was real strong with Solway on one and Redbury on the other, and Balson has the ability to do that, and so it's we've got different guys that can definitely move in and out of different interchangeable parts, and we're not going to rely on one or two guys, and I think it's going to be critical to. Come playoff time, the front of the net on each end is so valuable, and so, you have to try to find ways to get your opponent's net. You have to have the big guys on our back end that making sure that it's very difficult to get to ours.
Soloway on the doorstep scored a nice goal against Couch and a nice tap in. Yes. You talk about the power play now. We've talked about John Seymour being a big boost for this team on the power play, tied with Wade Murphy for league lead in power play assist, digging up that stat today. What have you seen in 2013? The power plays in 2013 averaging around 24%. Has there been a noticeable change? Is it a guy like Seymour coming in or finding the right mix?
I think we had so many guys in and out of the lineup at the beginning, and then you had the Junior A Challenge. There was a lot of different things, and it went cold for a little bit, a little bit of everything, and just a little more continuity in our lineup. I think in the second in 2013, and yeah, you had a player like Seymour, it doesn't hurt absolutely. Even if that player is not the one. Maybe getting a point on a goal, but you clearly have to be aware of where he's at and put attention to him, which might open somebody else up on our power play. And unfortunately, he missed practice today with the flu, and hopefully he'll be ready tomorrow. But the power play, like I said, it's one of those things where we have to it doesn't come as natural maybe as it has in the past, but we've got guys that can finish. We have guys that the big thing for me is just making sure that we're getting to our spots, that we're competing hard. We're not trying to go one-on-one in certain situations, and ultimately getting traffic in the net and getting the puck to the net. And if you do that, good things will happen.
Is this a team that maybe needs 1 or 2 touches on the power play to kind of get going in a game? Or
well, that's the other thing. Is it's funny you mentioned that. Is that there's the last few handful of games, it's not like we've been getting a lot of power plays, and it's funny with our speed. You think you'd create more opportunity, but just for whatever reason, it hasn't happened. And so yeah, there's some games when you get 1 or maybe 2 power plays, it's hard to get your feel, get your reps going, and it's something that we need to create problems for our opposition with our speed, and maybe you'll draw penalties at the end of the year.
You talk about that. Power plays are always key. You want to have it at a high level going to the playoffs. Is the power play a huge portion of playoff hockey now in the BCHL? Because we see Merritt and the Vees barely get any power play time. The exception was last Saturday.
Yeah, well, you know what? In the past, it seems like the power plays dwindle in the playoffs. So maybe we're already at that point, and so that's fine. And if for us, we just talk about trying to if we can score 1 power play goal a game, that's great. And if we can get 3 or more touches on the power play per night, then at least 1 power play per period. If we can try to average that, that's great.
What about on that flip side? I want to talk about penalty kill. We saw a key shorthanded goal against Cowichan, setting the tone obviously on Sunday. It hasn't been an issue at all this year, the penalty kill. What have you seen in this? Because sometimes teams goes ebb and flow, it goes up and down. Some teams, but how's this team able to stay at a high level in the PK?
You know what? I think our guys have smart reads. I think we're real quick to get into pucks. So I think that we're doing a good job up ice and putting pressure in the neutral zone and offensive zone to try to limit the amount of time our opponents have puck possession in our zone, and obviously good goaltending on top of it. So when you put everything together. I think it's and in the video work that we do too, to making sure that our guys are aware of the strengths of our opponent.
And speaking of discipline, one of the top 3 teams with the fewest penalties against last year, this year as well. Is it all about just keeping that feet moving? Because it seems like last weekend it was maybe 2, 3, and 1 against Merritt, for example, on Saturday.
Yeah, I think a couple things. One is, like you say, if we're a good skating team, then you shouldn't have to hook and hold if you're moving your feet. And then the other side of it, I think, is as a full staff in our organization, we're pretty hard on our guys about being disciplined and not being selfish in certain situations to try to, hey, you know what, I love tough hockey and aggressive hockey, but the rules the way they are nowadays, if you spend a lot of time in the penalty box, kind of what we were saying earlier, if you keep giving your opponent repetitions on the power play of 4, 5, 6 a night, it doesn't matter how good your penalty kill are, you're going to wear those players down. You're going to give the other team a chance to get in the rhythm, and ultimately you'll be pulling pucks out of your net.
So far, so good for the Vees. Picking apart the special teams, not much to pick apart right now, the way they're rolling along. We'll come back with a preview. Big weekend, 4-point night against Merritt tomorrow in a tough contest coming up in Trail on Saturday. We'll come back after this.
Here's a look at the Vees' upcoming schedule. Remember, home or away. Follow all the action on Easy Rock AM 800 or online at www.myeasyrock.com. Why not join us next time as part of our studio audience at the Best Damn Sports Bar for another episode of Coach's Corner.
Scoreboard watching continues for the Vees and Merritt as the battle for home ice advantage in the interior side of things. And big one coming up tomorrow night, 4-point game as they call them. First versus second. Right now, the 6-point cushion on the Merritt Centennials thanks to some help by Trail last night in a 2-1 win. But obviously not hard to get up to this game come tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Oh, it'll be one of those emotional games, I think, and for both sides. They probably realize that to get first, tomorrow night's probably a critical game for them, and for us to kind of push that lead and put the pressure on them. So it's and just feeling good about ourselves. I mean, we've lost the last couple of games against them, so we want to make sure that that it's the last time we'll be playing them unless we see each other in the conference final. And you just want to, we've had some tough breaks the last 2 games against them, or 3 games, I guess. So it's just we got to make sure that. that we're on top of our systems right off the bat. The energy level shouldn't be an issue, and then it's time to execute when we get our chances.
I know you're not about moral victories, but is that the silver lining? A break here, a fluky goal here. These games could be different against Merritt in the last couple of times.
Well, that doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not one of those things where we don't believe that we can beat them or anything like that. I mean, that's just not the case. And we've had teams' numbers over the past where it seems everything could go, can't go wrong and everything goes right. And right now, a little bit of that mojo's gone the other way right now, and that's fine. And you know what? We still have another game against them tomorrow, and if we see them again, like I said, it'll be in a much different environment, and there's not a team in our league right now that we sit there and our boots shake. It just doesn't happen. So they clearly have a hatred for us. They clearly get up for us. They put that Superman cape on every time they play us. When you watch them play against other teams, at times they look like a different team, and I think our guys, maybe this is the best thing that ever happened, because no matter what. Like last year, whatever we said to our guys, they still, I could just tell they didn't get up. Maybe the same as what Merritt got up for us, and it was the same at the beginning of this year. Now, when you lose a couple, it kind of forces the guys to get up for it, and not that we were taking anybody lightly. It's just that there's that extra gear, that extra little hatred, and so maybe that's where we're getting to now. And I thought, like I said, 2.5 periods of the last game, and even the third period at home the week before. Most of the last 4 periods of hockey, we've been real good, and we need that right away tomorrow. It's
a good primer for the playoffs. You talk about getting that extra little push. This is basically playoff hockey. The last 3 meetings of these 2 teams. Absolutely,
and you know what? They're not the type of games that maybe. Like I said, 1-0, 2, 3-3, 3-2, and real close type games, and maybe not a lot of goal scoring, but it might be a little bit of a chess match where like the 1-0 game here, we made 1 error in our end and they scored on it, and so we have to be patient. Sometimes it's better to be on the road in these type of situations. Tomorrow we can't worry about. Trying to make it a flashy type game. We just got to play our game and play hard. And like I said, when we get our opportunities, we got to make them count.
Last I heard, fans are happy about 2 points as well. It doesn't really matter how you get them. If this series doesn't need any more poking or stoking of the fire, a little bit of an incident, obviously, after the end of the Saturday's game. We saw Troy Stetcher attack after the buzzer, 3-on-1, driven into the glass. Obviously, on video, it's hard to see from Nicola Valley Arena, but obviously that's something that the Vees don't forget. But is that frustrating, trying to walk that fine line and also getting guys taking liberties on players? How do you move forward with that?
Nothing surprises me anymore. Like I said, it was a 4-man system. Somehow that's missed. Watching it was funny. We had a college coach come up to us at the end of the game and talk about how dirty they thought the game was there. And I guess during the heat of the battle, I didn't notice until we watched film and saw some of the slew footing that was going on and some of the old tactics. So sooner or later, if that's the way that's going to be, there's going to be repercussions for it, and hopefully, the officials don't miss as much and see those type of blatant infractions, and if not, then we just got to fight through it. We're not going to sit here and cry about it, and if as long as it's being called both ways, and then we'll deal with it. But I think it's pretty obvious that they're targeting Troy, and I guess he's. A key component to our team, and I don't get too concerned about it because Troy's one of those guys that just keeps going and going and going.
It makes him a better player, in fact, gets him fired up. Trail on Saturday in Trail. This is not last year's Trail Smoke Eaters. No. Tied for 4th place right now with Salmon Arm. They've won back-to-back hockey games. Big one, obviously, last night home against Merritt. Haven't played them since November, though, so it's been a while, and it's going to be basically a mini playoff series come next month.
It's bizarre. We played them, I think, at the beginning of October or middle of October or something, then 2 big games back-to-back in November, and haven't seen them since. And they've scored the last 2 times we played against them. They've scored a lot of goals against us, and watching them last night, their forward group is a team, especially in their building, that they might give up chances, but they're gonna they're not afraid to trade chances with you, and their decor like to just bang it off the glass and let their forwards run, and so we have to be on our game in that building. It's a building that's not easy to play in because of the different bounces that come off the walls, and the corners are a little funny, and So we have to be ready for that. And they've only got us left. They've got 4 straight games against us. They're going to have to win, a handful of those to get into the playoffs, and that they'll be excited to do it.
Yeah, they don't play Friday. Played last night, so they have Friday off. Do you expect just to kind of maybe quote unquote cliche term weather the storm maybe the first 5 minutes in, or do you just want to come after them on Saturday night?
Well, it's one of those places that you just got to watch. You don't find yourself down. So I mean, you have to weather the storm, and you got to push back as hard as you can, and make sure that you're not giving. It seems like we've had games in the past there where you give up 1 or 2 goals early, and now you're playing from behind the whole night, and so we can't allow that to happen. If they're going to get their chances and score goals, they got to earn them. We can't just be sleeping and making poor decisions with the puck. So. I think we'll get through Friday night, get on that bus Saturday, and it's a team that we'll be very familiar with in a few weeks.
Obviously, in your college days at St. Cloud, you've been in situations back-to-back. You play teams like this, but have you seen this in junior where it's 4 to 5 games against the same team?
Yeah, not usually. I mean, my first year we played our last 2 games of the regular season were against Vernon, and we had a bye, and they ended up going and beating Trail, so then we ended up playing them in a best of 7 that went 7, and so with 9 straight games against Vernon that year, and fortunate for us, we moved on. But in this one here, we're going to play them. They're going to have us 4 in a row. We have Vernon tucked in there as well at the end, but. If they if they make it in the playoffs, then there's a good chance that we could be the team that they're playing, and so who knows? I mean, it's we're not yes, we're scoreboard watching, we're watching what other teams are doing, but at the end of the day, we have to worry about our own game, and whoever we draw, whatever straw comes our way, and then we're going to have to be prepared to battle, because there's going to be no easy opponent in the first round in our league.
No easy games left for the Vees either coming down the stretch in March. That will do it for another episode of Coach's Corner. I'd like to thank Coach as always. Vees and Merritt tomorrow night. If you have a pulse, I suggest you go down and watch the game at the SOEC. It'll be a dandy. Until next time, I'm Fraser Rogers. This has been Coach's Corner.
Coach's Corner has been a presentation of the Penticton Vees. Production services provided by Groovy Productions and Synergy Imaging. I'm Wayne Williams. And remember, everyone, help control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered.